This is the video complement to Chapter 3 of my Home IT Handbook, which you can download for free at WiFiGuy.net, the site that helps you go from computer novice to home IT guru. In this video, we're going to discuss how to upgrade your wireless router's firmware. Firmware may seem like a boring topic on the surface, but it's probably one of the most important things you're going to want to familiarize yourself when you have a wireless router. I remember I once got a comment on one of my wireless router videos from someone who was asking me when I planned on updating the video with this year's models. I had to laugh a little bit, but I guess it's easy to assume that wireless router manufacturers are like automobile manufacturers and put out a new model every year. That's just not the case with wireless routers. It takes a lot of research and development to produce a new wireless router model, and it usually only happens when there's been significant changes in the technology. With the use of firmware updates, manufacturers can keep a router model new and relatively up-to-date for years without having to completely redo the design and hardware specs. A good example of this is several years ago I bought a router and I was very disappointed to find out that the router that I thought had VPN support didn't. I searched and searched through all the menus and there were no VPN settings anywhere. As it turned out, the latest firmware update included the VPN feature, so I updated the firmware and lo and behold, there was my VPN support. So that's why if you want your wireless router to be all it can be, you want to periodically check the status of the firmware on the manufacturer's website. Okay, let's go over to our Archer A9 wireless router. Okay, now on most wireless routers, updating firmware is considered an advanced activity. So you're going to want to go down here. And then on the TP link, it's under System Tools, Firmware Upgrade. Okay, now this particular wireless router makes it very convenient and easy to update the firmware. Okay, why? Because it gives you the firmware version you have currently. It gives you the latest version available. And if you look closely, you'll see we already have the latest version. It also gives you the version number of the hardware. Okay, that's very important. So if our wireless router does not have all these nice built-in convenience features, we would have to manually update the router, which means we would have to go here and make a note of what firmware version we're on, and we would also have to make a note of the hardware version of our wireless router. We would then take that information, go to the manufacturer's website for that wireless router, and go to firmware. Now, just as an aside, one of the reasons I like the Archer A9 so much is because the TP-Link website has this wealth of information. They've got all these video tutorials, they've got all this information. They even have emulators that you can use to test the wireless router's interface. Okay, so let's go to firmware. Okay, so we scroll down and we see all this information. Typically, you want to pay attention to whatever's in red. This is information that is going to keep you from damaging your router. So it's good to make note of it. Many times there will be several different versions of firmware to choose from. Typically the one on top is the latest and greatest. So then from there we would simply select download and show it in folder. Now you'll see here that this comes in the form of a zip file. That does not do us much good. If we want to upload this thing into our router, we want to extract this. So hopefully you have a utility on your computer called 7-zip. If not, it's a free download. Go here, and say extract. And this will create a folder with everything you need. Now this long file name here, ending in .bin, that means binary, that's what we're looking for. They even have instructions here on how to upgrade the router. Okay, so what you want to do is you want to make a note of where you have this, and in my case it's in the default downloads folder. So we would go back to our router, and once we know where to look, we simply browse for it on our computer. Okay, so now we drop that into our downloads folder. So let's just go here and then go into this folder, and this is what we're looking for right here. This .bin file, that's what we're looking for. So we click open, and then we would say upgrade. Now in this case, I'm not going to upgrade this because I already have the latest and greatest. Now of course, this particular router, we don't have to go through all that pain. We can just simply go check for upgrade, and it will tell you your firmware is up to date. If it wasn't, it would let you download it and install it. If you're doing a manual update, you want to be 100% sure that the firmware you're installing is the correct one for your router, because if you get it wrong, you can damage your router. In fact, you can not only damage your router, you can brick your router and make it totally useless. That's why it's always nice to have one of these handy dandy upgrade utilities built into your wireless router. Thanks for watching. This video is one section of the much more complete video above. These videos are part of a video series I'm creating to complement my free ebook, The Home IT Handbook. You can download it for free in the link below. I hope you got something out of this one. If you did, please do the YouTube doink-de-doink.